Mario's gotta clear his name and clean up the once beautiful Isle Delfino. But before he arrived on the island, a new ordinance was passed that outlaws murder of any kind. Given Mario's reputation of brutally killing everything in sight, can he rescue Peach and restore the island lawfully, or will his malicious tendencies get him thrown in prison? Super Mario Sunshine has 7 main areas, and each one is home to 8 episodes. To unlock the final level and save Peach, you've got to beat the 7th mission in each level, the one where you chase down Shadow Mario. Now, some ground rules. Number 1. The Delfino Police's order to clean the island up overrides this new legislation, meaning if something is comprised of this goo, we have 100% permission to execute. That's important for the early game, since you can't even make it past the airstrip without killing one of those proto-piranha plants. And even if you did, you couldn't access any of the first 3 areas, so it'd be pointless. Rule number 2. If an enemy kills itself by trying to attack you, that's acceptable, but self-defense rules do not exist on the island, so no matter how screwed you are, you can't protect yourself. And rule number 3, if you defeat a character in a boss fight and they return in a later mission, that previous fight doesn't count as a kill. That one's put to use right away, since Bianco Hills has you fight Petey Piranha twice, so beating one of these episodes is absolutely fine, but we gotta find a workaround for the other. I don't know what that is right now, but thankfully if you collect a couple shines around Delfino Plaza, you can unlock Rico Harbor no problem. This level's super straightforward. There's a couple spots that are more challenging to navigate, but nothing major. The main boss in this level is the Gooper Blooper, and you fight him twice, but since he returns for one final battle in Noki Bay, Mario's in the clear. Also, he doesn't explode or melt into goo like some of the other bosses. He remains whole and is thrown back into the water, you know, where bloopers normally live. So even if he didn't return, it's hardly the evidence they need to lock this guy up. Getting all of those shines unlocks Gelato Beach, whose second episode presents a major roadblock. There's a wiggler resting on top of this orb thing that's holding the sandbird egg, and these plunger dudes walking all over the mirrors that are meant to keep it warm. If you do the mission as normal, you launch these guys off the mirrors, presumably to death, until there's none left and the egg is reheated, which literally dismembers the wiggler. That's gruesome. Somehow though, Blood bounces back for a boss fight in a later episode, and after you beat that, he's officially a goner. That's a lot of departures from life, and luckily, there's a way around all of them, and it's all thanks to the notorious Watermelon Festival shine. Nobody likes this episode. Rolling a watermelon past all these cataquacks and down steep hills? Yeah, okay, that sounds fun. The shine sprite itself is what we have to thank, because you can collect it while loaded into any other episode. And once you obtain it, it unlocks every mission in between, including the Shadow Mario one. So, how do you get it? Well, let's just say the game really doesn't want you nabbing it early, but it is possible with a little practice. You'll want to grab a coconut from this tree, leave it over by the hut, and jump onto the railing to make Mario hang from it, then pull yourself up and center the camera. That's the exact angle you'll need. From there, you only want to move while you're in the air, as to not compromise said angle. So maneuver yourself to grab the coconut, jump onto the roof, and stand on this tile. Once you're in the perfect spot, drop the coconut while holding forward until you clip through the roof. Then hold hover and quickly jolt the stick back to kill some of that momentum so you can idle your way straight ahead. If it sounds complicated, that's because it is. It took me over an hour to get right, and even that attempt felt like a fluke, but it worked and felt super rewarding to finally pull off. And yeah, beating Shadow Mario after that was a cakewalk. Then we move on to Pinna Park and right off the bat fight the Mecha Bowser, which is once again not a murder. Very expensive property damage, sure, but not manslaughter. Episode 2 has a small roadblock though. We have to get into that cannon and the Monty Mole has to get ejected. Traditionally, you just throw his own bombs at him, but that blood's still on Mario's hands. It's actually a pretty easy evasion though. The bombs naturally follow you, so by walking around the tank and getting to the opposite side from them, they'll walk too close to the mole and explode. Mario innocently notices the lack of bombs chasing him, but thinks nothing of it and proceeds to the secret stage. Then just a couple episodes later, we're forced to save these dying sunflowers by killing 5 Snoozakoopas. That's straight up homicide. I tried to get them to slam into each other's bellies, that didn't work. Then I tried to make them drown themselves in the water. Again, to no avail. So I concluded there's no way to spare these guys, and no way Mario's keeping his hands clean. Even if that is the case, it's justifiable, and I'll explain why. These are an invasive species to Isle Delfino. Their eggs are keeping the native Yoshis away, and the creatures themselves are slowly killing these flowers for their nutrients. Therefore, it's really no different than spraying for roaches in your house. They're threatening the very way of life on this island, so their murder is valid. He feels guilty as hell, but the lawman gave him the okay, and to save the lives of hundreds of sunflowers, it had to be done. Beating that episode unlocks Yoshi, and the very next one forces us to get creative with him. And Electric Koopa's making the Ferris wheel spin way too fast, so we've got to go up there and assassinate his ass. Bro is sleeping so innocently on that grate, getting in some real good honk shoes. We can't kill him. Unfortunately, there's one more big skip in this game that helps with that. If we go back to episode 2 with Yoshi unlocked, there's an egg under this tree, and hidden beneath the sand is a bunch of fruit. Once you hatch him, you need to eat a durian to turn Yoshi purple, then get off his back and place a papaya down right when Mario's shoes are aligned with the space between these two tiles. If Yoshi does a backwards flutter jump into the door and lands between it and the papaya, for whatever reason you clip right through it. Then in this section of the stairs, you jump as high as you can and at the peak, hold backwards, which sticks you up there. And when you're that high, the bullet bills from the beach can somehow reach you. So wait for a purple one, lure it toward the gate, then squirt it while facing away from the Yoshi go-round, quickly eat that papaya through the door, and hop back on the platform. If you do it all just right and aim the platform correctly, it takes you right where you need to be. Then all you do is jump when you intersect with the base of the Yoshi go-round, and since he's orange from eating that papaya, you can enter the secret stage. This is a really weird skip, but I guess since the inside of the park and the entrance are separate areas, nothing was really programmed for this part of it, so that explains why you get stuck if you move at all when riding the platform.
Maybe I just...
Part of it, so that explains why you get stuck if you move at all when riding the platform.
Maybe I deserve this after all I've done.
This is another one that took eons to get right, but we did save a life, so it's worth it. Pin a park after that is a walk in the park, pun not intended. And with Yoshi, we can now enter Serena Beach, which opens with a fight against the Phantom Manta. This one's another legal gray area, since it's not composed of goop, but it's not really composed of anything. So since it leaves a trail of it everywhere it touches, I'd argue the act's protected by the policeman's order to clean the island up. Maybe it's a stretch, but come on, that thing ate a hotel. I think law enforcement should be more worried about that. The boss for this stage is King Boo, who you have to kill, but he's a ghost, he's already dead. Legal AF. Now if we go ahead and look at the sun, Noki Bay has a couple dilemmas, but it's actually the least barbaric level yet. The first episode has a Monty Mole again, but this time the tank's on a really small cork. You're supposed to just throw the bombs at him like before, but that's murder, goddammit! Instead, if you stand on the right side against the wall, the bombs land on the cork, but letting him blow up anywhere won't do any good. You have to wait for the countdown to naturally show up, then lure it to the opposite side and jump off and away from the platform. Getting too close makes him go back inside the tank and not take damage, and not going anywhere gets you blown up and thrown all the way back down to the bottom of the stage. It's a little tricky to get right, but it's totally permitted by the IDPD. Then the third episode is home to the final Gooper Blooper fight, and like I said earlier, beating a boss in every fight is presumably a kill. But luckily, this one's 100% skippable, and it's kind of fun, not gonna lie. When you spray the spring, it shrinks down for Mario to pick up, and if you walk into this corner with it while holding up and right on the control stick, then set it down, it pushes you right through the wall. Then hover forward and left until you can kind of see the outside world, use up all your water, and dive as far as you can. I was expecting this one to be way harder, but I easily did it on my first try. As for the big boss of the area, you just clean an eel's teeth, so Pacifist 100. And that brings us to Pianta Village, where you don't have to kill anything. You shoot these chain chomps into water, but they were burning to death and needed to cool off, so if anything, you're doing them a favor. Honestly, this was the most simple level yet, not a single hurdle, but that of course brings us back to Bianco Hills. How the hell can you make it past episodes 2 and 5 without killing Petey? The only thing I could think of was getting into one of the secret stages early, but they're both blocked off until their respective episodes. And even if you do get behind the barricade, it doesn't trigger anything, so you're just kind of stuck. The episode 5 shine is inevitable. It doesn't even appear until he's gone, but that episode 2 shine hangs right over his head in the main area. The problem is, the platform he's standing on is surrounded by a hitbox that sets off a cutscene, and there's no way to go over or around it. But if there's another cutscene playing, that one takes precedence. So if we could find a way to pass through that hitbox while a separate cutscene's playing, collecting the shine would take the next priority, then the Petey Piranha fight would commence. Now how do you do that? Well, there's cutscenes that play when you spray down graffiti for a blue coin, but you can't hit any from the top of the windmill, so that's out of the question. But using a mechanic called leaf storage, with some well-timed water spraying, it's in the realm of possibility. But every little thing needs to be frame perfect, and I don't even know if an actual human's been able to accomplish this. Last year, someone posted this video of it happening, and I'll just let you watch. I can't do that. If I dedicated the next year of my life to it, I still couldn't do it. We're right here at the finish line, and it pains me so much to say this, but I'm gonna have to kill Petey Piranha. And with that crime committed, Mario was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in jail, just 2 shines away from saving the day. But he escaped. Sneaking around the authorities, Mario collected the remaining 2 shines and watched as Delfino Plaza flooded before entering Corona Mountain. There's no enemies in here, and the final boss doesn't kill anyone. Bowser and Jr. have a heartfelt conversation afterwards, while Mario, the princess, and Flood live happily ever after. AKA, they leave the island as quickly as possible so Mario doesn't get thrown back in jail. On the way home, they reflected on their journey. Mario thought to himself, I saved the island, I saved the princess, but I can't stop thinking about the one I couldn't save. Thanks for watching.